Hello world, Stephen Michael Zach here, and today we have a very special video for you. We are on the volume stage here at Monolith Studios in Nashville, Tennessee, and you've seen it on The Mandalorian, and now I'm actually standing on one. This is going to be fantastic. So let's go and check it out.
Production and content creation company. Specializing in content to display services and LED volume architecture. That one sentence kind of encapsulates everything that we do. We can carry a project from a year out doing previs and VFX straight through to putting the virtual content on the screen. Wow. And designing the LED volume for either ourselves or our customers. We have studios in Atlanta, Nashville, this one here, Nashville, soon to be much bigger, I'll talk about that, in Los Angeles. We're just finishing up an installation in Albuquerque. We've got an arrangement with a group of producers in Seoul, Korea. We'll be building the volume there. Going to build the volume in Mexico City also. And we own about 25,000 LED tiles in the company. We can take them anywhere and do anything we want to with them in any space if we've got the time and the budget. It's a company made up of veterans in the business. We're kind of a young company. We're about a year and a half old, but it's made up of veterans in the production world. My background is 40 years in production plus. I worked in every department in production other than makeup. I'll do makeup if you need somebody to do that for you. And I ran a production service company. I had a 5-ton grip truck. I was a producer for Scene 3 and my own production company. I was executive director of the Tennessee Film, Entertainment, and Music Commission for 4 years. So I've had a kind of varied career. About 7 years ago, I started working with VER, which was one of the leaders in production equipment for the entertainment business. They were bought out by PRG and spent some time at PRG. I was director in their film and broadcast division, and I was hired by Monolith back in September to run this operation here, and I'm the vice president of business development for the company. Our big plan, which you're probably familiar with, is to finish a 47-acre development just north of here, south of Hendersonville on Vietnam Veterans Parkway. And we're really excited about that. We're breaking ground in about 2 weeks for that. It's a $100 million facility. It includes the Monolith Studios complex, which will be 5 stages, similar to this, some bigger, that do everything from XR to virtual reality setup to car process, you name it. We'll have about 100,000 square feet dedicated for those studio spaces. And then we have a large box on the property that will double as a live performance music touring rehearsal hall and a sound stage. It will be 240 feet by 180 by 90 on the outside. The interior grid height will be 60 feet. So it'll be a real sound stage. That's the overview of what we got happening. And this room in particular is set up with 700 tiles. This LED volume is. The side walls and the primary wall are the Roll Black Onyx 2V2, which is the next version up than what they've got on the Mandalorian set right now, although they may have improved it by now. The wall right there is about 56 feet across, 71 on the curve, and about 17 feet high. The panels up above are the Rogue CB5 product. And these sky panels are used specifically for effect, and they really are what sell the car process. Here's our pixel map of all that. This Rogue product is 2.8. It's 2.8 pitch in the LED. There are finer pitches available, but we find that this is particularly well suited for our needs in virtual production. We also outfit our tiles with Brompton processors, which have an incredible refresh rate on them. We don't have a bad refresh problem like a lot of LED will give filmmakers, you know. Mm-hmm. We have a particular way, as I said, LED volume architectures are one of our specialties, and we have a particular way of rigging our volumes, and these panels are controlled by 4 chain motors, quarter-ton chain motors, as you see, and we've got steel I-beams that allow us to slide these back and forth. You know, one hand can move these back and forth wherever we need to go. The side walls also are movable. Let me show you a view. Two people can move this wall anywhere here in the studio. It's about 7,000 pounds, but it rolls like a champ.
It looks like a board cube.
It does look like board, doesn't it? Well, if you stroll back here, this is really scary. Because this is board for me. We're getting an idea of the curve of the volume also. It's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Wow.
And it takes a lot of rigging and a lot of design to really do this stuff.
Sure.
I mean, it's not only the technical aspect of it, but it's the real, you know,
well, it's all the programming,
hands-on
and
to make sure that everything is safe for everybody to be around. Of course,
sure.
You're still stacking sand.
Well, yeah, unless you're nailing it to the floor, and even then,
it's still production.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
Well, and the fact of the matter is, we could tear this out in about 2 days if we wanted to move it. We could move this into another space within the course of a 5-day week. Each one of these panels, of course, and I'm sure as you're aware, Stephen, are addressable. Mm-hmm. You know, individually, which gives us a lot of latitude to do some cool things for directors if need be. We do an effect called the virtual gaffer, where if a producer wants to put, you know, a kicker in somebody's eyes or glasses, we can dedicate a panel and move it around, you know, full luminance white or any color that they want.
that was actually one of my questions. Was how do you handle lighting? Are you doing traditional lighting, or are you using the walls to light?
That's a really good question, and it's both. But there's a lot of immersive lighting that comes out of the LED, and your content dictates a lot of light and shadow anyway, right? Like, for example, on The Mandalorian, that whole Tatooine desert atmosphere reflects back into all of the actors. Yeah. You know, that's one. We're one of 5 teams that work on that show. Okay. So we've been with them from kind of like the very start. They're doing more and more of it themselves now. It's industrial light magic.
Right.
I mean, you know, they're either, to the extent that they've developed their own servers, ILM servers and ILM
it's all
LED
in-house,
tiles.
yeah.
You know, why not?
Yeah, sure. It's
you got billions.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you do what you want to, but
sure.
I love those guys, and they have everybody loves ILM, right? But they have really changed the business with the Mandalorian and Boba Fett.
Sure. Oh yeah.
And that whole I was talking with my wife about it this weekend. You know, I've been immersed in Star Wars since the first movie hit in 1977, and I've seen the changes that it's gone through.
Same here.
And it's remarkable that the canon now is expanding, and the family tree just keeps going out and out and out. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that's something that we're really excited about. Of course, our association with film. It's a natural. We do a lot of content for film and television. Monolith is a studio that is respected for that. Fred Waldman, our executive vice president, is literally one of the godfathers of the business. He took some panels over to the Warner lot back in the mid-2000s and set them up to show the gaffers there what they could do. And the next thing you know, he was creating a volume for the Sandra Bullock film Gravity. And that was the first time we really think that we know of a volume being utilized inside of a production environment like that. Next big success that he and his team had was Murder on the Orient Express. And we did a big volume for them, 90 feet, a cove that was 90 feet with a ceiling. And we
was that the snow scene or was that on the train?
It was the train, and so we put a passenger train car inside of the cove, and all of the content of the Alps and everything were running content.
Oh wow!
That was all.
So it's kind of like what they did out in Bolivian, where in Bolivian they went up to mountaintops, filmed above the clouds, and the front projected it all around where they live.
Yeah.
But now you could do that digitally. You don't need projection.
No, exactly. And that was the first movie that we know of where a 70 millimeter film camera looked inside of an LED screen, running content that was, I think it was acquired on a rig. 4K.
Yep.
And so it worked. And that was a big proof of concept for the business at that point. Yeah. And Fred was instrumental in that whole thing happening, he and his team. A lot of his team, he's one of the founders of our company. His team came with him when this company started up and running. And so that's the kind of background of people that we have. We've got a VFX team. You would love to meet these guys. They've got some really, really great credentials. And Johnny Gibbons and Valerie Johnson. Valerie came out of Disney. She was an animatronic engineer.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So it's really cool the type of people that we have around to help our customers.
Sure.
Car process. One of my favorite things to do. I've ridden that trailer a lot of times. Come on, set up in here.
Wow!
Yep. Yeah. And we're talking about the immersive lighting. All of this works inside of the car. It reflects on the windows, the dashboard, the hood. All of this is sky and the effect that you get as you're rolling down the street, looking up, hanging out the window. We've got complete latitude with these panels, as you can see, moving down as close as you want to around the car. When you're doing the full process, you just kind of encapsulate the car in it. And depending on how the DP wants to set up the shot. But you got your driver's side, your passenger side, you got what's going on out the back of the car there.
Now, do they ever put the cars on rigs to add a little motion, or is that
we've got dollies. Well, yes, and we've got dollies that we move the car around in the studio with.
Right.
Once we get the car inside the studio, we put the four wheels on dollies, make it totally mobile. And it still boils down a lot of times to the grips just giving it a little
just rocking the car, the old school,
we are working right now on a big movie project in Atlanta that has a vehicle inside of a volume that we designed for the client in a soundstage there. We've got stages in Atlanta, but we also built out a volume for a long-term lease from the client. So they've got a vehicle on a hydraulic rig inside of that volume, doing a lot of movement. In some undetermined part of the universe.
In an undisclosed location. A secret location. If I told you where I was, I'd have to go.
But back to what I'm talking about. The client came to us to build that volume, to make that happen for them. And our technical people worked with them on site, and they're with them every day. So Anyway, I've ridden this trailer around a lot, this car process trailer. Have you ever done car process off a trailer before?
Not off a trailer.
Okay.
I've done poor man's method where the car is stable and you're just spinning lights.
So you know it's
Very indie style.
it's a big trailer
Sure.
that you can put.
And I've done car rigs.
You can put yeah, exactly. Well, you put the car, 10 people, lights, and a car rig on top of that trailer that sits about this high. Right. And you got a big diesel truck that pulls you around town.
Right.
It is scary as hell. And probably the most fun you'll ever have on the set, too. You know, riding down.
Because you're just in traffic. It's not like,
Yeah, I mean, for the actors it's cool, but for one of the crew standing on the outside of that, holding onto the railing, going down the way, it's scary.
With one little safety cable, maybe.
Hey, this kind of eliminated the need for a lot of that, but what I like to say about virtual production, it doesn't eliminate craft shops.
Right.
What I would use a process trailer for today is to go out and acquire the content.
Right.
You know, I'd rent that trailer to put 4 cameras on and do the B-roll that you're going to use for the content. Most of the projects that we work with choose to shoot their own content. This particular content came out of a library. You know, which you can, there are plates available now.
Oh yeah, all this time.
And you can buy that stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
But most of our clients shoot their own or create it in Unreal.
Right, which is what I'm starting to work with.
That's a world that we haven't talked about yet, and that's right up your alley. Unreal changed the business.
Oh yeah.
You know, in 1996 when it was released, and it became an open source piece of software.
Sure.
And in '96, the content was still looking pretty elementary. You know, there was herky-jerkiness to it and everything, but Epic, being brilliant about it, open sourced that software, and people started feeding smarts into it, you know, and in a few years, they were producing content on Unreal that looked pretty photorealistic, you know, not animated.
Right.
You know, but these were characters that were you could suspend your disbelief.
Sure.
You know, and at that point, that's when Hollywood started paying attention to them a little bit more. It was like, you know, for a while these guys were like really quaint, but now, you know, it's making a lot of sense to us. And with these finer pitched LED, with the playback systems and servers that we use to ingest the content into, next thing you know, I mean, you know, in 15 years, 20 years, the Mandalorian was created.
Right.
You know, so it was a mashing together of the Unreal Engine technology and the LED volume technology that has made virtual production happen. And it's all happened in the past 25 years.
I know.
Isn't that the wildest?
And it was fast.
It's fast. It's fast. And this thing cranking up the way that it has been faster than I ever could have realized. I mean, you know, in my career, I've seen film stock go away, tape go away, all of that stuff.
Yeah. And film go away.
Yeah. and the advent of virtual production is a sea change in the business. It feels as big to me as when digital cinema cameras became a reality in film excellence.
Right. Yeah. Or when, you know, you brought in CGI to replace practical model building and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Although they still do practical stuff.
Well, that's a great point, because what really sells virtual production is practical art direction.
Right.
Around it.
Yeah, if you're combining of the two, it really sells the environment.
And I'll show you some clips that illustrate that better than I can describe it. But, you know, I mean, if we were doing Tatooine here, we'd just fill this place up with sand and rock and, you know, kind of move everything up toward the screen. And then you would blur all the lines with Unreal, and you could really create your atmosphere in here.
Right, and that's the question I had, is when you have connected panels, you're basically using Unreal to kind of blur the lines in the screen or to blur the edges on the bottom of the screen as well. So there's software that will kind of fill in the gaps,
so to speak, but we don't leave a lot of gap.
Right.
I mean, you can see we can move that screen up pretty we will move them up to where it reflects the proper sight line of an automobile, for example. But yeah, Unreal helps us to blur the lines at the end of it. Mm-hmm. What our goal is to get pixel in the camera to editor. You know, we try not to do any, as little color correction as possible, no CGI if possible, because we're doing it.
Right.
It's there. It shouldn't. We shouldn't have to fix anything. Right. And that's where all the magic comes in. The difficulty falls in. All of that. The challenge. It's not difficult. It's a challenge of production. A lot of the stuff that goes on in virtual production, you make up as you go along for your particular production situation. Right. I mean, people are writing software changes every day. You know.
Just figuring it out as you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Does this look real? We'll say. Does this look real? That's what you're going for. But pixel to camera is the goal. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Another thing we've done in here is not build it into a full XR stage, put a floor in.
Right.
And we're actually putting an XR installation in across the hall today for a job coming up. We purposely did that here because we also want to utilize it for the Nashville entertainment industry. They have utilized it already for performance, where it's just these screens working, you put a couple of bands in here and make a music video or what have you. We had Blake Shelton in here after the CMAs, and he did the same song 4 times with 4 different changes of wardrobe, and in front of the screen with vivid content. In his band, 6 pieces, 8 pieces maybe. Mm-hmm. Those clips went on Ellen, the Today Show, the Tonight Show, you know, and in 2.5 hours he was able to appear on 4
different shows,
you know,
and not go anywhere, and not have to travel.
Yep. And so that's what we wanted to have happen for the entertainment industry. Yeah, and that's why the floor doesn't go in here just yet, but I mean, we could build it in a couple of days.
So they do have a floor that'll actually be a monitor as well.
Yeah, that's how the whole XR universe is created. Okay. You got to have the corners and you got to have the floor, and you can float your subject inside of that XR universe. Then, you know, and I mean, you know, our stage in LA is set up that way, and we've got even a ceiling that comes up, you know, so you can really immerse them inside of that. Right. So, virtual production is a real friend of the actor.
Yeah.
They love.
I come from an acting background, so I started as an actor.
Well, you know how it is. I mean,
you
know, Kathleen Kennedy was quoted as saying, Jon Favreau asked her first time she came and really visited the Mandalorian set for a day. In the day, Favreau asked her, what'd you come away with today? And she said, the fact that the actors knew exactly where they were all day long. Mm-hmm. They weren't lost in a sea of green.
Yep.
Walking around.
Not hitting that X and that triangle.
Yeah, because, you know, in a setup the size of the Mandalorian, they'd have to throw up a 60-foot sea of green.
Yeah, and then they have all that spill to deal with too.
Yeah, and people just get lost there. Yeah. Actors get lost inside that environment. Yeah. Producers don't know, can't tell what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
You know, InCam helps that. Do you know about InCam?
That's the system they used. Jon Favreau used. Is that the one that he used for Jungle Book, where he could see all the CGI?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's a great tool.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Very effective. You can see all that emotion.
Yeah, it was all done, so you could just go watch the playback, and you know, you'd have like these sketches of all the different animals. Yeah. Oh yeah.
We've got this. We don't have our motion control set up right now, but we have it. We have you can see the dots in there.
Right.
We have the room ready for motion control. We got to program the Skype system again to make it work inside of here. Sure. But to get the full virtual production parallax effect, you know, you got to have that camera driving the screen.
Right.
And that's what really makes it happen. And as the camera pushes, the parallax pushes, you know, it really is what sells it. Otherwise, you just got flat 2D content.
Right. Mm-hmm. Then you have rear projection.
Yeah, rear projection basically.
was watching an episode of Murder, She Wrote the other night, and I'm like, and you're in a car, and you can just tell that it's
kind of funky.
It just doesn't look right.
No.
The wheel isn't moving, the car isn't moving. It's
I got a
flat.
couple of clips here I can show you.
All right, cool. Wow. Oh, wow. This is amazing. Love this
This
stuff.
is some of the background that was on the Blake Shelton's. And he's just using big screen in the back, but that's playing it all over.
Oh, look, there comes Laura Ingalls.
Now, this is content that pause it for a second. That was content that was content that the producer of the Blake Shelton project just kind of did the night before on his computer and threw it up there.
Wow.
So that's not Unreal Engine or anything.
Right, it's just plates that he found
It's
online.
really effective,
Yeah.
though.
Well, I mean, you could just fly a drone and get your footage and then project it up there.
Oh, you absolutely could. So this is a flyover, an architectural flyover of the complex. So flies, Mr. Jordan.
Wow.
Flies through there. As I mentioned, this is right off of Vietnam Veterans Parkway. So absolutely.
My sister lived in Hendersonville when I first moved here, so.
Oh, really?
So I'm I know the area very well.
Can you roll it, please, sir?
Yep, absolutely.
So, coming through here, these will be the Monolith Studios as we go down this road. These are kind of all of them in a line.
Sounds beautiful.
These are all the 5 Monolith stages inside of here.
Wow.
This is all leased property. Like-minded companies will come in here, digital design companies, camera supply companies, computer design companies, software people, you know.
So everything, like Disney, will all be
We're
in-house
gonna
in one spot.
we're encouraging a community environment there. We're the anchor tenant, but 60% of it is pre-leased already. And in this big building here, that's about 250,000 square feet with just 2 tenants in it. And they'll be associated with the lighting and touring and audio side of the performance business. It's kind of like dizzying, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the big box. This is the 240 by 180 by 90. And it actually sits on right at Vietnam Veterans Parkway. So as you're headed north, that's going to be your landmark.
Right.
It's going to be very cool.
It's going to be very visible.
Yeah, and we're so proud to bring this to Hendersonville. I mean, the people in Hendersonville have been incredible about opening their arms up to us, and it couldn't happen to a greater place. They got a history in the entertainment business up there. That's where all the stars used to live.
Right.
You know,
Right, yeah.
so